The air inside the Manhattan studio felt charged, heavy with the electricity of expectation. Rows of audience members leaned forward in the half-dark, faces glowing in the reflected light of the monitors. Every network camera locked on the table in the center, one side polished ego, the other calm defiance. Donald Trump sat with that trademark smirk, cufflinks flashing under the LEDs. Across from him, Denzel Washington folded his hands, silent, composed, a man who knew storms didn't always announce themselves with thunder. When the red live light blinked on, the applause faltered into quiet. The host offered pleasantries that no one would remember. Denzel's first words sliced through the calm. "Mr. Trump, people say you built an empire of success. I see an empire of deception, and tonight, America deserves receipts." Trump laughed, the sound brittle. Another actor pretending to know business. Denzel didn't flinch. Business? Business is keeping promises. You sold yours to the highest bidder and billed the taxpayers for shipping. A ripple ran through the audience. Trump leaned in, eyes narrowing. Fake news. Then prove it fake, Denzel shot back. Right here, right now. No teleprompters. No edits. Just truth. The moderator swallowed. Control room producers gestured frantically for a cut, but the director shook his head. Viewership was spiking by the second. Outside the studio, Manhattan traffic howled like background percussion. Inside, two worlds collided under the same fluorescent sun, celebrity and power, both addicted to attention, both terrified of silence. Denzel adjusted his mic, voice steady, unhurried. "Let's start simple," he said. "How many lies can one man trademark before the brand collapses?" Trump blinked, once. For the first time in a long while, the king of spectacle looked unsure which camera loved him most. Trump leaned back, the studio lights cutting sharp reflections across the gold band of his cuff. "People don't tune in for lectures," he said. "They tune in to watch me win." Denzel didn't smile. "Then tonight's a rerun you won't enjoy." The audience reacted, a low rumble between disbelief and awe. Trump raised his chin. "Everything I've done, every building, every deal, made this country great again." Denzel's reply hit with surgical calm. "Great for who? The investors who cashed out, or the workers who never got paid?" Trump tried to drown him in volume. "Fake stories. Lies from bitter people who failed." Denzel slid a small card from his pocket, names, dates, settlement amounts. "These aren't stories. These are signatures. From your empire of unpaid promises." The silence afterward was heavier than applause. The moderator attempted a pivot. "Gentlemen, let's keep it civil." Denzel turned his gaze, steady as a crosshair. "Civility ends where deceit begins." Trump's smirk twitched. Viewers online flooded comment sections. Hashtags multiplied, hashtag Empire of Deception, hashtag Denzel Unfiltered. In living rooms across America, people paused their dinners. Something about the rhythm of Denzel's tone, slow, deliberate, felt less like a celebrity soundbite and more like an autopsy of power. Trump jabbed a finger toward the camera. "They love me out there." Denzel nodded. "Yes. They love what they think you are. Tonight, they'll see what you made them believe." The control room whispered, "Ratings are breaking records." The host mouthed a prayer. And Denzel leaned forward, voice low, unhurried. "Empires fall the same way they rise, by their own reflection." The studio felt smaller now, as if the air itself had learned to hold its breath. Trump's grin had faded into something unreadable, half smirk, half warning. Denzel sat steady, elbows on the desk, eyes fixed not on Trump, but on the truth between them. "You call yourself a builder," he began, voice calm but hard as concrete. "But the only walls you ever built were between people." Trump snapped, "That's not what America thinks." Denzel's reply came like a hammer, America doesn't think, it's been taught to react. The crowd gasped. Phones lifted. Clips would be viral before the segment even ended. The host interjected, "Let's bring this back to facts." Denzel nodded. "Here's one. You talk about draining the swamp, but all you did was build luxury condos around it." Laughter erupted, then applause, fast, nervous, uncontrollable. Trump's jaw clenched. "You're just an actor," he growled. Denzel's eyes didn't move. "Exactly. I act for a living. You acted for power." The words hit harder than shouting ever could. A stillness swallowed the stage, camera lights blinking like unblinking witnesses. Trump leaned in, whispering, "You think you can judge me?" Denzel's tone softened, almost pitying. "Not judge. Expose." Online, the numbers surged past 10 million viewers. In that moment, the confrontation stopped being television, it became a trial broadcast to the world. The defendant, power itself. The prosecutor, truth wearing Denzel's calm face. And as the commercial break loomed, the control room panicked, because cutting to ads now would feel like censoring history in motion. The break never came. The producers froze, knowing the feed was worth more than any commercial slot. Trump shifted in his chair, the practiced posture of confidence starting to sag under the weight of silence. "You think you've got it all figured out, huh?" he said, voice rising. "You actors, you talk, but I built things, real things." Denzel leaned forward, his tone measured like a heartbeat. "And yet, every building you raised came with a cost someone else paid. You built debt, fear, and illusion, not America." The crowd murmured, the tension rippling like heat through steel. Trump jabbed a finger at him. "You don't know what it takes to lead." Denzel didn't blink. Leadership isn't about taking credit. It's about taking responsibility. When the light hits you, you don't cast shadows. You reveal them. The camera zoomed in, catching the smallest flicker of unease on Trump's face. For the first time, he wasn't performing, he was reacting. "Fake." Trump barked. "This whole thing is a setup." Denzel's reply was quiet but lethal. "Truth doesn't need a setup. It shows up on its own." The audience erupted in applause, some standing, others frozen between awe and disbelief. The control room whispered, "Ratings just broke national records." On social media, hashtags multiplied like sparks, hashtag Denzel exposes Trump, hashtag truth hits hard, hashtag empire of deception. Trump straightened his tie, forcing a grin. "People still believe in me," he said, defiant. Denzel nodded slowly. "They believe in the dream you sold them. But tonight, they'll see the bill." Every light, every camera, every heartbeat in the studio seemed to freeze on that line. It wasn't a debate anymore. It was a reckoning written live, one sentence at a time. The studio lights burned hotter now, like judgment itself had descended on the set. Sweat traced down Trump's temple, glinting under the glare. "You talk like a preacher," he sneered, forcing bravado into trembling words. "But you're just another Hollywood phony pretending to care." Denzel didn't flinch. "Pretending?" His voice carried a quiet thunder. "No. I've seen too many good men chewed up by power to pretend. I've played heroes on screen, but I've watched the real ones disappear because people like you rewrite the script." The room gasped. The moderator shifted nervously in his seat, but Denzel kept going, voice steady, conviction carving through the noise like a blade. "You call yourself a patriot, but a patriot doesn't love a country for what it gives him. He loves it enough to tell it the truth, even when it hurts." Trump leaned in, fists clenched on the table. "You think you're the truth?" Denzel shook his head slowly. "No. I'm just not afraid of it." A silence deeper than applause filled the air. The cameras captured Trump's face, tight, cornered, pride trembling under pressure. The tension snapped like glass when he slammed his palm against the desk. "This interview's over," he shouted. The host hesitated, looking toward the director's booth. But Denzel spoke before anyone could move. "No, it's not," he said firmly. "Because America's been waiting too long for someone to look power in the eye and say, 'Enough.'" The studio audience rose. Some clapped, some cried, and others simply stared. Phones everywhere lit up as the moment spread across the internet in real time. The headline practically wrote itself: "The night truth broke the empire." For once, even Trump's empire of words had nothing left to say. When the broadcast ended, silence lingered like the echo of an explosion. No one left the studio right away. Everyone seemed to know they just witnessed something bigger than television. Within minutes, the internet erupted: clips, rewinds, slow-motion replays of Denzel's final words: "America's been waiting too long for someone to say enough." The phrase went viral, plastered across every platform, headline, and screen. Cable news scrambled for commentary. One anchor whispered, "This wasn't an interview, it was an exorcism of power." Hashtags like #Denzel vs Trump and #The Reckoning Live trended globally. Outside, protests sparked and celebrations collided. In New York, crowds projected Denzel's quote onto Times Square buildings. In Washington, reporters swarmed Capitol Hill for political reactions. Even former allies of Trump hesitated to speak. No one wanted to take the wrong side of history. Trump's team went into full defense mode. His spokesperson released a statement calling Denzel a fading celebrity looking for attention. But that only fueled the flames. People started sharing clips of Denzel's speeches about integrity and justice, framing him as the unexpected conscience of America. Inside his trailer, Denzel sat quietly. He wasn't smiling. Fame didn't interest him, truth did. His phone buzzed endlessly: talk shows, political figures, activists all wanting a quote. He turned them all down. Meanwhile, Trump took to social media, furious. "Fake setup. Hollywood hit job," he wrote. But his words felt hollow, recycled. The public had seen too much. For once, the spin didn't stick. And across the country, in diners, offices, and classrooms, people asked the same question: did we just see the moment the empire cracked? By dawn, Trump's machine roared back to life. His media allies launched coordinated segments, framing Denzel as unhinged and anti-American. Fox panels lit up with phrases like "Hollywood arrogance meets political ignorance." They replayed Trump's defiance on loop, trimming out the silence that followed. The goal was simple: rewrite the night. But America had already seen the unedited version. On social media, independent journalists dissected every frame of the confrontation. "You can't fake the truth," one tweet read, racking up millions of views. Podcasts called it "the moment the mask cracked." Memes flooded the internet: Denzel in calm defiance, Trump in mid-yell, captioned "Lights. Camera. Truth." Trump, never one to retreat, scheduled a live rally within 48 hours. The stage was built higher, the flags bigger, the crowd angrier. "They're coming for me because they want you silent," he bellowed. The audience roared, but even there, phones glowed, half recording, half fact-checking. Back in Los Angeles, Denzel appeared on a public talk show, not to gloat, but to clarify. "It's not about him," he said evenly. "It's about what we've become when truth feels like an act of rebellion." The studio went silent again, a mirror of that unforgettable night. Trump's team clipped that too, but context no longer worked in their favor. The world had shifted. This wasn't Hollywood versus Washington anymore, it was reality versus performance. And for once, performance was losing. By the next morning, the story had transcended borders. European networks replayed the interview, labeling it "the American reckoning." In London, newspapers compared it to Watergate-level fallout. In Paris, headlines read, Hollywood star becomes America's mirror. But the real shock came from within. A leaked recording surfaced from inside Trump's communications team, a panicked conversation revealing that they had planned to manipulate the broadcast feed, muting Denzel's mic during his final remarks. The audio leaked through anonymous sources to multiple outlets, and suddenly, the narrative wasn't just political, it was criminal. The leak began trending within hours. Hashtags multiplied, hashtag truth taped, hashtag Denzel uncut, hashtag Empire cracked. Even neutral journalists began calling the event the night the truth punched back. At a press briefing, a reporter cornered Trump's new press secretary. "Did your team attempt to silence Mr. Washington on air?" She froze. Cameras zoomed in. Her silence became the quote of the day. Meanwhile, Denzel was in New York, walking through the rain toward a small community center in Harlem. No entourage, no cameras, just quiet. A child recognized him, shouting, "Hey, you told the truth on TV." Denzel smiled faintly. "That's all anyone can do," he replied. That moment, caught on a bystander's phone, became the new viral image, Denzel under a gray sky, humble, grounded, real. The contrast to Trump's golden rallies couldn't have been sharper. For once, the global stage wasn't dazzled by spectacle. It was listening to substance. And America, trembling between outrage and awakening, seemed ready to choose which voice it would believe. The White House went into chaos. Advisors shouted across corridors, aides deleted messages, and lawyers worked overnight to contain the fire. Trump, pacing in the Oval Office, slammed his phone down after watching the leaked audio play on every major network. "They think they've got me," he hissed. "They have no idea who they're dealing with." But the tide had turned. Public trust ratings plummeted within hours. Major sponsors withdrew from upcoming campaign events. Even conservative anchors hesitated to defend him on air. One of his longtime strategists was caught on a hot mic muttering, "We're watching the empire crumble in real time." Meanwhile, Denzel stayed silent, no interviews, no statements. That silence became its own kind of power. Commentators said, "He doesn't need to speak, the truth already did." Trump, cornered, went live on his own platform that night. The feed opened to his familiar voice, but the anger felt thinner, more desperate. Fake leaks. Media manipulation. Deep state, he barked, the same script America had heard for years. But now, it fell flat. Viewers clipped moments of his rambling confusion, pairing them with Denzel's calm stare from the original interview. The contrast was devastating. In Los Angeles, protests filled the streets, not against Trump, not for Denzel, but for accountability. People carried signs reading, "Truth doesn't need a party." For the first time, the line between celebrity, politics, and power blurred completely. And somewhere deep inside, America began whispering what few dared say aloud: maybe the reckoning had finally begun. The final act unfolded under blinding lights. Trump announced a "truth rally," one last stand to reclaim the narrative. The arena was packed, banners waving, chants echoing through the night. But something was different. The crowd's energy felt fractured, uncertain. Cameras captured Trump stepping onto the stage, his grin taut, his voice trembling between defiance and fear. "We will not be silenced," he thundered, pounding the podium. "The lies end tonight." But as he spoke, the massive screen behind him flickered, then cut to live footage from the leaked audio. The crowd froze. His own voice filled the arena, admitting to manipulating the broadcast. Gasps rippled through the audience. Someone shouted, "You lied." Others followed. The chant reversed, "You lied. You lied." Security scrambled to shut down the feed, but it was too late. Millions watched the meltdown live across the world. That same evening, Denzel appeared in a quiet interview studio. No fanfare, no audience. Just him and the camera. "The truth isn't about destroying someone," he said softly. It's about freeing everyone. His words spread faster than any headline. By dawn, every major outlet carried the quote. The image of Trump staring into the crowd's rejection contrasted with Denzel's steady calm, two Americas facing each other. In the aftermath, congressional hearings began. Networks rebranded the entire saga as the Reckoning Era. But for Denzel, it was never about legacy. When asked if he'd do it all again, he smiled faintly. If it means someone out there learns to question power, every single time, then yes. Outside the studio, morning light broke through the clouds. For the first time in years, America seemed ready to listen. Power doesn't crumble in one night, it cracks in silence, in truth, and in courage. Tonight wasn't about winning or losing. It was about reminding this country that truth still has a voice, and it doesn't need permission to speak. If you watched, if you listened, if you felt it, then you already know. The reckoning isn't coming. It's here.